Welcome, everyone, to Sebring International Raceway. Welcome to the HTL Cup Series on ABN. Last road course in the regular season, only one left after this, Watkins Glen, after the new year. So for the road course aces, it's time to get to work. But for the first time, it's at the bumpy Sebring International Raceway, former Air Force Base here in South Central Florida. Home to the legendary 12 Hours of Sebring and many other races throughout the year. It is a testing ground, it is a race ground, it is a racing playground here in Florida. Conditions just right for racing and just right for the HTL Cup Series. 33 cars trying to take on and tackle the bumps around the modified Sebring Raceway. We're glad you're with us here for HTL on ABM. Information here on the modified layout. It is the shorter course here at Sebring, not the full over 4 mile layout here at Sebring, 1.97 miles for the modified course. This is similar to what is used in testing for the NTT IndyCar Series and other competitions. First time HTL's ever been here. It's been heavily rumored over the last couple years of coming to Sebring. Trigger was pulled for this event to see how it plays out. And with that being said, it's a clean slate. No previous race winners, no HTL track record. Not a lot of data on everything here at Sebring. Stages, there are stage breaks on road courses, lap 15, lap 35. Realistically, you shouldn't need to pit during stage 1 or 2. Stage 3 will be when that green flag pit stop cycle happens. We have not had green flag or cautions during road courses for accidents, so it's only the 2 stage breaks that everyone gets a chance to have reprieve. Also, the first road course that we've seen open setup in effect. HTL made the announcement last week. Open setups are here to stay in the HTL Cup Series. That was something that took effect in Charlotte last month. Was part of a 4-week trial for open setups. Race Kentucky, only 2 cautions in it, giving the ultimate final green light for the new era in HTL happening here in Season 7. Upcoming races, pretty simple. Bristol and Daytona, the last 2 races of the regular season after tonight. If you're not with a race win or if you're not in the top 16, the time is running out for you to try to get there. We're off for Christmas and New Year's. We come back January 5th for the Southern 500 here in Darlington. And then January 12th is the race at Watkins Glen in the round of 16. Speaking of playoffs and points and everything as they stand, here's how the points stand right now. Bryn Roberts, top of the board by 2 points over Mark Kissenweather, Patrick Oberstadt. 3 race wins this season. Pacey Wygant, not far away from him either. Level on points. Behind him on race wins, Zach Meredith grabbed his 2nd race win a week ago in Kentucky to jump himself into the top 5 in points. Everyone in cyan has a race win. Everyone in blue does not have a race win. Those in cyan right now in the top 12 don't need to worry about that because they're locked in based on points. Top 12 locked in based on points. The amount of wins you have, irrelevant to that point. They just help get you bonus points or playoff points in the round of 16. This page is what's important. Cody Pennell, Lily Sharp, Josh Arnold, Bailey Thompson currently in the top 16. Highlighting that there is a 3-way tie right now for 14th between Thompson, Sharp, and Arnold. Thompson's the only race winner not in the top 12 at the moment. Zach Apperson in 12th on the nose. Makes things a little bit difficult. Blake Henderson, Davis Moon Jr., Hunter Peach, Byron Jones need to be cognizant as they try to make this push into the playoffs. Yeah, Bailey Thompson will knock one of them out if she's not top 16 after Daytona. Realistically, you're trying to be top 15, top 14 by the time the Firecracker 400 is done and dusted in 2 weeks. Dustin Hall, not present tonight. His playoff run, while was looking optimistic the last couple weeks, with him being absent, will take a significant hit. Elias Flores, almost in a position of needing to win. This is a track where he can do well. Will he do well is another question. But signs typically say yes for Flores. Alfred Denny not racing tonight. In his place in 21 car, Christina Ryan, who is not playoff eligible at 21 car, though, with an experienced driver behind the wheel and Christina Ryan, who has raced at Sebring on multiple occasions, could do well. Those in red do not have enough starts to be playoff eligible. Some of these drivers are substitute drivers or are no longer active. Those in blue currently have a chance, but they are now must win. A lot of red, though, in this section here. Drivers that are going to try to play spoiler, though, over the next 3 weeks. And with that being said, qualifying is over. So let's go ahead and walk you through a little bit of those results. Tucker Sawyer on pole position, looking for his first win this season. He's top 12 in points. Right now, he's got the best run of the house as things sit. Eli Sasek in 5th, just now coming across the start-finish line. Christina Ryan also just now coming across our finish line. And the number 21, racing for Alfred Denny, as we mentioned earlier. Christina Ryan qualifying right now 13th. Hunter Peach just came across our finish line to jump into the top 10. Last driver that'll complete a lap here will be Ross Baxter down the back straightaway. As we mentioned, 1.8 miles a lap here around the Sebring Raceway. It is the abbreviated course. And that will change a lot of experiences here that for drivers that have raced in the 12 Hours of Sebring or have raced in the Champ Car race at Sebring. A little bit different experience. Baxter comes down the start-finish line. As Swatsworth crosses the start-finish line to stay 14th place. So qualifying is done and dusted. Tucker Sawyer will be your front row here in Sebring. Let's go ahead and bring up your full starting grid here. Tucker Sawyer and Bryn Roberts will be on your front row. And that is not correct. Let's see if we can reset this. All right, so it's not going to show us that, so we'll have to hold off on that because we are doing warm-up. So we're not going to get an accurate starting grid until we get to the race, unfortunately. But Tucker Sawyer, Bryn Roberts, your front row. Best seat in the house for them right now. C. Davis Moore Jr. and the Reese's 54. There's 2 of these cars that'll be circulating across this month. Tombstone Motorsports with the 21 Alfred Denny unveiled theirs in preseason. It's not run in a race yet. Davis Moore Jr., he will make the second Reese's car that's appeared in the HTL Cup Series season. He qualified top 5. So he should be a threat. For those watching live on Twitch, there is a prediction tab. Use your channel points, your Euro dollars from Cyberpunk, and make your prediction. Which manufacturer is going to win here in Sebring? Right now, you're looking at Chevrolet and Toyota as the top 2 favorites here. Toyota on pole position, Chevrolet front row. Your best Ford not doing so hot. Bottom end of the top 10. They've got some work to do. Josh Ducey trying to get something figured out here. He has come to a stop. He is on the international portion of the racetrack. You see the cones there. That is past turn 2. Slalom between the cones and rejoin the rest of the course. Christina Ryan, as I mentioned, filling in for Alfred Denny. We're right on board with her. Get you an idea as far as what this track looks like here during warm-up. It'll be a lot more difficult with 34 cars on the racetrack. Christina Ryan making her 3rd appearance this season. Needs to do 4 in order to be able to race at the Brickyard 400 next year. Literally next year. It's the end of January. This is her 3rd start. She needs to start either Bristol or Daytona at the end of the regular season to become eligible to race during the playoffs. Lap starting here. Cut it as close to the wall as you can in turn 1. Very bumpy. It wants to pull you away from the wall as much as possible. And immediately back on the brakes for turn 2. Bumpy transitions all the way through turn 3. A lot of off-throttle time here, as you can hear. You can go wide here. You see the rubbering of the racetrack, the racing line. On the long back straightaway. Where you get the Sunset Bend, which is elongated here. Instead of it being a sweeper, it's more of a hairpin to help get everyone back onto the home straightaway. And that is a pretty straightforward lap for Christina Ryan. That puts her top of the board. That is a 1:08.271. You see at the bottom of your screen. Not a bad lap time. Obviously in warm-up here, everyone figuring out things, practicing pit entries, practicing pit exits, making some final adjustments here, open setups. You get to do all of that. Christina Ryan still getting familiar with this abbreviated version of the racetrack. She has not raced on this version of the racetrack before. She's raced on the full version of the course on several occasions. So she's seen a lot of these corners, but not in this car and not at these lower speeds. And that's something that a lot of drivers can say the same thing about. And if you've ever raced in the 12 Hours of Sebring, you will know exactly what that feels like. But warm-up is completed. You got to tour around Sebring before the dust begins to fly. So now we can get into the starting grid here at Sebring. So let's go ahead and bring that into the fold here. Tucker Sawyer, Josh Susie, front of the field here tonight. Looks like Bryn Roberts is not on the front row, which is going to make things very interesting. Row 2, Mark Kissenweather, Lily Frazier. They make up your top 4. Tucker Sawyer, your road course favorite. Mark Kissenweather has also been very competitive on the road courses. Not happy that he did not get front row at the very least. Lily Frazier jumping in the 71 for Outlaw Esports. Did really well in Kentucky last week on her return. We'll try to do the same thing here at Sebring. Good spot to do so in that second row. Eli Sasek sitting in row number 3 alongside Tommy Reynolds, who was supposed to race last week. They did not fill out the proper paperwork for Reynolds to replace Austin Mongold. Reynolds will be in that 29 car the rest of the season, and he'll start 6th tonight. Byron Jones, Elias Flores in row number 4. 7th place for Byron Jones, the best Ford on the row. For Byron Jones, this is one of his better qualifying performances so far. In the first time he's been the best Ford in the field. Elias Flores talked about him needing a race win, starting top 10, a great spot. Bobby Blowers and Hunter Peach in row 5. Blowers not playoff eligible. Hunter Peach is playoff eligible, but he has been outside the top 16 all season. Slow start has not gotten a lot better. Can it change today? Davis Moon Jr., 11th on the grid alongside Pacey Wygant. Christina Ryan and Shad Spotsworth make up row number 7. Haley Thompson, 16th points going in, starts alongside Bryn Roberts, who is her points leader. They're in row 8. Row 9, Callie Height back in the 87 car after Caitlin Height filled in a week ago. Really sharp. The French driver has one career win. Came here in Florida, Daytona Road Course 2 seasons ago. Trying to do so again. We'll have a lot of work to do from 18th. Zach Meredith, Cody Pinnell, precarious position for Pinnell. Top 16 of points, just barely. Zach Meredith, though, 2 race wins, safely in the playoffs as things sit right now. Row 11, Brady Smith and Zach Apperson. Row 12 is where you'll find Blake Henderson and Josh Arnold. Ross Baxter, Richard Odie, row 13. Row 14, Chelsea Carter and Angel Santiago. Stephen Oberstadt and Patrick Oberstadt, the brothers, in row 15. Olivia Pereira and Jason Scott in row 16. John Matthews, the 33rd and final car in the field, will round out the field in that 81 car here tonight. Stages lap 15 and lap 35. We're glad you're with us here for HTL on ABN. History at Sebring for the first time in HTL Cup Series history. Sawyer and Susie lead the field to green. The green flag flies, and away we go. Few cars that were starting from the pit lane, but everyone has overall survived the tight part of the lap. Here they come down the back straightaway towards Sunset Bend. Elongated with the hairpin here. Sasek behind his teammate. That is Flores in fourth, Sasek in fifth. Out of the final corner and across our finish line to complete lap number 1 of 70 here. As we mentioned, only 2 cautions for the stage breaks here tonight, so this will be a race that goes by fairly quickly. Lap time is about 1:12. That'll get quicker as the runs go along here, so about 70 seconds per lap, give or take a little bit. I would say a little bit around an hour and a half is how this race is timed up to be. Front of the field, pretty straightforward. Callie Height's already up 6 spots. Brady Smith already up 9. Patrick Oberstadt already up 11 spots in the 88 car. Remember, he's qualified this race in 30th, already up into 19th at the moment. A lot of drivers expecting carnage early on, and there's been a little bit of beating and banging, but it's not been the worst thing on the planet. Carmen Jones, though, will lose out a little bit. Callie Height in a huge amount of trouble, and not alone in that either. Cars in the fence. That is Apperson, that is Carter, that is Swatsworth, all in the fence. So we'll see what happened here. Live replay coming up. A lot of latency here for Callie Height. See if we can go to full speed here. And the Sunset Bend. This is Callie Height attacking Pacey Wygant. And it looks like Callie Height got clobbered behind, absolutely, by Shad Swatsworth. It looks like Chelsea Carter helped Apperson around too. Have another look at that. Yeah, Chelsea Carter just clobbers the back end of Apperson and gets clobbered as a result. I believe that was potentially Matthews that made contact over the 81. So a lot of trouble there in Sunset Bend. Swatsworth, who was part of that, down in 26th position. And Callie Height in pit lane for repairs after being clobbered by Swatsworth just a lap ago. And Callie Height going to be frustrated to no end. It's the season of no luck for the 87 camp with Callie Height behind the wheel. Tucker Sawyer leads the way. He's opened 3 seconds up. He opened up a similar gap in the ABN Champ Car World Series race that started the season here in 2025. That was his first of 5 wins in that competition. He's looking for his first this season and his second in HTL overall, following his win last season at Watkins Glen. This is bread and butter. He's been competitive. He was competitive until he made a mistake at Chicago a month and a half ago. Showing a lot more of that pace here. Susie in second. Kissenweather in third. Flores and Sassa continue to keep Ascent Racing in the top 5. 3 of those cars top 5 at the moment. The only one missing right now is Wygen, who is sitting in 10th. Flowers in 6th for Outlaw Esports. Remember, he made his return at the last road course race in Chicago. Finished top 5 in that race. Sitting in 6th place, Christina Ryan 7th. Byron Jones not far behind the 21 car, sitting in the 8th spot. Still contending with Ryan to be the best Ford of the bunch. Only 2 Fords in the top 10 at the moment. Bailey Thompson in 12th after winning in Chicago. Bumpy road courses typically trend in Thompson's direction. But it has been a little bit of hard sledding here in between Brent Roberts and Tommy Reynolds, who is no slouch either. Reynolds peeks to the outside, goes a lane wider than Thompson there through turn 1. They try to set up a pass here in turn 2, sends it in a little bit deep. And I think Netcode had a pretty big say in that. Meredith had to come to a complete stop. Thompson will spin it out without using the racetrack to do so. Very smart move by Thompson to avoid getting hit again. We'll take a look at it. It was a telegraphed move by Reynolds to try to make that happen. And we'll take a look here from high above. Telegraphed move going into turn 2. Looks like a little bit of netcode there, not a clear angle from high above. But Reynolds ends up getting clear of that. A couple of more gnarly accidents popping up here as well. This is going to be Brady Smith that we're looking at. And this is Brady Smith clumsily hitting the wall on the outside of the final corner and breaking suspension pieces and coming to a stop on the front straightaway out of harm's way. So that puts his race to a pretty big halt. Richard Odie, the third, currently sitting 32nd on the racetrack. He has an issue, and it's going to be in Sunset Bend. Way too deep on the brakes, can't get it wound up, and into the tire barrier at the very far end. Not a great place to be. Christina Ryan the same. Christina Ryan had an issue. We'll see what it was. She was battling with Byron Jones and 100% gets a little bit loose and ends up running wide there. Gives Byron Jones an opportunity, and Jones takes it. So that's that pass between the two Fords at the front of that conversation. Thompson trying to work back forward here. Now down in 17th place, working against John Matthews in the 81. And Thompson gets clear. Here comes Sharp. And Sharp will also pick off the 81. Car coming out of pit lane, Smith, who we saw tag the wall earlier. Back out on the racetrack. Battle up here. This is between Frazier, Cody Pennell, and David Smeal Jr. Cody Pennell let them both have it. Blake Henderson is off the side of the road here. And that arcane number 25. What has happened to the 25 of Henderson? This is Henderson. This is going to be in turns 2 and 3. It looks like the exit of turn 3 is where he gets hooked up here. Trying to chase down Wygant. Harmless in itself, but he's going to lose so many positions here in a race that he really needs to capitalize on. Drops all the way down to 21st. More trouble And that was Meredith that got loose in the last corner and did a little bit of a half spin. So Meredith drops back down to 23rd, and it is attrition all the way through at the lower ends of the field. Front of the field, not a problem for Tucker Sawyer. 5.5 seconds the gap over Josh Susie and Mark Kissenweather. Really good look here down the back straightaway into the Sunset Bend. Flowers in 5th, Flores up to 6th. Talked about Jones and Christina Ryan. Those two cars swapping places a couple laps ago. Hunter Peach top 10. Same with Tommy Reynolds, who will now gatekeep the top 10 from a very familiar adversary, Bryn Roberts, in 11th at the moment as they go down the back straightaway towards Sunset Bend, the final corner. Willie Frazier in 12th. Casey Wygant has had an issue of some kind. Not a significant issue, still on the racetrack, just passed by Frazier and by David Smoot Jr. Looks like a simple off track, but he didn't spin in it, so keep on rolling is how that ends up playing out. Wygant down to 14th ahead of Cody Pennell. Willie Sharp in 16th, Billy Thompson in 17th at this particular point in time. More trouble between Apperson and Carter. Second time they've tangled. Carter turned Apperson the first time. Was there a receipt here on lap 9? This is Apperson. This is Carter behind again. We're looking at Carter. And no contact between the two, but Carter spooked Apperson in a pretty big way. No contact, though, between the two this time. But Carter, and I think appropriately, and Apperson's had just a little bit early on in this race. Remember, lap 15 stage break is coming up. As Apperson sits right now in 26th place. You see the damage on his car. He's just trying to nurse that car to the end of the stage. Chelsea Carter's had another incident and has removed that car from the racetrack now to pit lane on lap 10. Third incident in the first stage for Carter. And Carter has pulled that car to the pit lane and into retirement. Also, I appreciate Spirit of Indy in the live Twitch chat pointing out that this is not the IndyCar testing layout. This is the IndyCar testing layout is the opposite side of the racetrack that we're not running on. That is a very fair and accurate point. Tucker Sawyer unbothered at this point. Just lapped Santiago. 26 cars on the lead lap here in stage 1. Apperson's the last car on the lead lap right now. Very important distinction there. And Apperson not far away in eyesight down the back straightaway of the race leader. Steven Oberstadt just ahead of the 4-car. Tucker Sawyer has the ability to really put a damper on some people's day here in stage 1, more than some of them already have been. Obviously, Apperson's already had a pretty rough stage 1 in this race. That contact with Chelsea Carter. Carter now retired from the race. Callie Height still on pit lane trying to get repairs done. I don't know if the 87 car is coming back out in this event. Callie not competing for playoffs. Not anticipated to make much of the playoff portion of the season. Not sure if Callie's even going to be racing at Daytona in a couple weeks. But still not how Callie wanted this race to go out. Richard Odie still rolling around, so is Brady Smith. Chelsea Carter, the only retirement so far from the 33-car field that we know of. See if we get any update on that. It looks like Callie is retired. So it looks like that is a confirmation there. Callie Height is out here at Sebring. So 2 retirements, 31 cars still running. Pereira in pit lane for a second time And this looks like it could be terminal for the 96 as well. Let's see if we can get a look as to why. Looks like there's a couple of pretty significant incidents here. So bear with us as we try to pull this up. This is in turns 2 and 3, and just kind of goes for a loop. And I think this is just Pereira sitting and waiting for traffic to roll through, being courteous in this situation. Tags the tire barrier. Which, that sort of impact doesn't do a lot of damage to the car, but Oliver Pereira's had other issues going into this event. And just sits there and has to sit and wait. This other incident, it looks like a little bit more significant in how things play out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the secondary incident. This is a lap later. Pereira through turn 1, jumps out wide. And is it a loop again? Yeah, just goes completely wide into the grass. This time in front of traffic, and they all have to divert. And Pereira sits here for about 30 seconds. And I think Pereira just toes at this point. I do believe. That is where Pereira toes. So not a pleasant time at all as Apperson locks up. Back to live pictures here. Goes a lap down. Here's Meredith. Meredith, last car on the lead lap now. He's had a rough start of it. However, we are coming to the end of stage 1. So how much does Tucker Sawyer push it here? Apperson following. Meredith up ahead. Just cut part of the corner. And we'll have a slowdown. And Steven Oberstat looks like, unless something happens here in the final corner, will stay on the lead lap for the end of stage 1. Sawyer, no mercy at all, wants to get around and lap as many cars as possible here. Meredith goes deep. Sawyer gets it perfect. Meredith avoids tagging the wall here. Sawyer will be phenomenal in stage 1. And the yellow flag comes out to end the stage. And so Sawyer will be picked up by the Ford Mustang pace car. And a spectacular stage 1 comes to a close here in Sebring. Sawyer, Susie, Kissenweather, Sasek, Blowers, Flores, Jones, Ryan, Peach, and Roberts, your top 10 in the stage scoring positions. Questions on if we are going to get a DQ counter here. Let me double check here. I am not sure as to how many incident points are permitted here at Sebring. I'd have to double check and look here. I don't have the rulebook in easy grasp, I don't think. Pit stops will come here while we look all this up, and it'll be for lead lap cars first, I do believe, unless the entire field comes in. And it looks like the entire field allowed to come in under this lap. Some cars stay out. They'll try to get a wave around. Not seeing a firm limit on the incident points. 30. Let me double check here. While pit stops take place here, Tucker Sawyer remains in your race lead. That was not much of a question, I don't believe. Checking the event settings here just to make sure. Yeah, it is 30. 30 is the full. It's the hard cap. There's no other limit there. Yeah, you are correct. It is 30. I looked at the iRacing session. I had to look at the iRacing session because I couldn't see it. All right, so yeah, hard limit of 30 incident points. Some drivers already have 12 to 16, so I would hazard to say yes, probably. I would bank pretty favorably on it. And we're watching now. Tucker Sawyer's dropping to the back. Did he speed on pit lane? I think Sawyer sped on pit lane, and as a result, will have to give up the front of the field and will drop to the tail end of the lead lap. Oh my goodness. Meredith was the free pass recipient, for those curious. So Meredith's back on the lead lap. They give us 25 cars on the lead lap. Wave rounds will happen this lap. They'll catch up to the tail end of the field. Josh Susie, Mark Kissenweather now sit at the front of the field, and the strongest driver at the back. Questions over how would you speed in that situation. The answer to that would be speeding on entry. It'd be speeding on entry. Would be the easiest way. Or because the Sebring pit lane, the pit exit is longer than where the boxes are located, it's very possible he jumped the gun and just launched too early, leaving pit lane. Either or is very possible. It's not a traditional pit lane by any stretch of the imagination. It's nothing like Watkins Glen or Sonoma. There's a little bit longer of a margin to the actual exit of pit lane than from where the first pit box is. Either way, it really hurts Tucker Sawyer, who was looking for a race win. In terms of points, doesn't affect him too awful much. Still safely in the top 12. Same with Susie, who's got a race win, and Mark Kissenweather, who also has a race win. Should clarify that as well. But that'll make life very difficult for Tucker Sawyer in this second stage to see if he can slice and dice through this field. The pace car will go ahead and pull on to pit lane this time. And we won't see another caution until the end of lap 35. Pace car is in. Through the restart zone we go. Green flag flies, and stage 2 is underway. And immediately fanning out far to the inside lane there was Tommy Reynolds, trying to make up some spots early, and does. In that alternately colored Dr. Pepper machine, that Dr. Pepper Publix machine, brought into the fold by Austin Mongol. Reynolds battling with Sharp, familiar rivals there from outside of HTL. And they'll stay side by side through the S's. And Reynolds gets turned by Sharp. Reynolds turned by Sharp and drops back outside the top 20. And for those familiar with the rivalry between those two over in ARCS, not a surprise to see that contact there. Two drivers that do not give each other an inch. And Reynolds, the one that got caught out there. Wygent goes really far out wide. Almost got hit by Reynolds, who was not anticipating the rejoin. But everyone survives. But big time trouble all around. Sharp and Frazier, the two Lilies, back on track battling each other for the first time in over a year in HTL. Still side by side. Frazier in the 71, Sharp in the 19. And Frazier gets the advantage. Frazier also will cut no quarter there. And makes it on through. That is Frazier up to 7th, Sharp in 8th. Susie leads the way, and it is not a far margin to Eli Sasek, who now has to pick up where his teammate left off and contend for the race lead here. And unlike with Tucker Sawyer, Sasek has far less success here at Sebring on a statistic level. Kissenweather in 3rd. Not pushing too hard at the moment. He's worried about race wins. He's just trying to make sure he gets there. Flores up to 4th. Blowers in 5th. Christina Ryan up to 6th throughout the melee. Trouble for Henderson once again. He is back down in 24th place, and he has come to a stop near the start of the front straightaway. Down in the 24th spot. He is having another rough day. And unfortunately for Henderson, this is not going to be like Kentucky, where a recovery is going to be as easy as it was in the Bluegrass State a week ago. It's a top 5 car, spun in contact with Pacey Wygent. Both of them spun, and both of them lost out pretty massively as a result. Both of them missing the top 10 last week at Kentucky. And they're having similar issues here. Wygent at 18th after having issues. Henderson down to 24th. We'll take a look as to why. And this is Henderson trying to put the power down. Thinks he has it. Has to get through this final corner and just loops it. Just nowhere to go, and he's not the only one. Patrick Oberstadt did the exact same thing. But the contact spins Henderson all the way around, and he's trying to get himself spun around with oncoming traffic here. Does so, and this is where we catch him. And meanwhile, we've had trouble. We've had real big trouble. Susie turned around and out of the lead of the race and out of the top 5, down to 7th place behind Frazier. And it checked up the entire top 5. Let's take a look. And Susie, overzealous in turn 1, gets into the grass across the curbing. Sasek to his outside, tries to over-under him and not clean in that. Tags Kissenweather. Everyone has to sort of spread around the accident site. But Susie got a little bit of contact with Sasek, who was trying to over-under. Susie was trying to guard it. And the two collide in turns 2 and 3. And that moves Susie out of the front of the field and in the favor of Eli Sasek. Back to real pictures in live time as Josh Susie now has to try to reel in the 71 of Frazier. Reynolds has recovered back up into 15th place, but is being challenged by John Matthews in the 81. The rookie trying to get his way around and does so, forces his way through for 15th. Reynolds trying to bring himself back under composure here after being spun by Sharp in this very section of racetrack. Matthews blows it. Couldn't stay on the racing surface. We'll have a slowdown on the back straightaway to serve. They're both behind Bailey Thompson, back up to 14th. Cody Pinnell in 13th. And Tucker Sawyer, who, remember, had to serve an EOL for speeding on pit lane, already back up into 12th place. He is not far away from the top 10, already on the diffuser, the rear bumper of David Smeal Jr., with Hunter Peach not far ahead either. You're right on board with your fastest man on the racetrack. Texas native sitting on the 12th spot at the moment, right on the bumper of another Toyota with Smeal Jr. sitting in the 11th spot. Your pole sitter, after that penalty, started down in 25th and started behind the lap cars. EOL was end of longest line. So it was behind lead lap cars and all lap cars that did not have a penalty. Heavy braking down into this hairpin. This two-part complex for Sunset Bend. The second piece coming up here. Steps out sideways. You saw him step out sideways and skew behind the 54. This is where passing gets a little bit more difficult. Not unless David Smith Jr. does that. Opens the door wide up, and Tucker Sawyer makes his way on through. Up to 11th, 10th and 9th, now in view for the 97. Outstanding work so far for Sawyer, recovering nicely from that penalty. Coming to 10 laps to go in stage 2. Has a really good chance at stage points. Kissenmother up in second, trying to chase down Sasic. It's a second gap at the front of the field. As the leaders roll on through here, turn 1 towards turn 2. Sasic gets him with Flores and Ryan. In a very interesting top 4. Frazier up to 5th. Blowers in 6th. The friends sitting right there close together. Josh Soucy has made no inroads here at getting closer to the 71 of Frazier and the 91 of Blowers. I would have to imagine that the contact between Soucy and Kissenweather, the secondary contact when Soucy got spun by Sasic, might have caused a little bit of damage to the 24 car. And if so, that's going to really hinder the amount of time that Soucy has the ability to make up across the remainder of this race. A reminder here, we will have a commercial break. We will be silent during the second stage break here on lap 35. Give us a chance to actually, well, not only recollect ourselves, but also get to the Twitch side of things. That way the rest of the race is commercial free. So there will be a 3-minute break for commercials here. We encourage you all to stick around and support us here on ABN. But it will be happening during the stage 2 break. Soucy with a mirror full of Lily Sharp in tow there down the back straightaway. And not far away, Brendan Roberts, Hunter Peach, and Tucker Sawyer remain in lockstep. A lot of incidents going on right now, but they're at the back of the field, and they're largely single cars. Apperson, Santiago, and Josh Arnold have all had issues here in stage 2, but they're not really anything to report. These are largely issues in turns 2 and 3 or in Sunset Bend, the final corner, as we've seen so many times already in this race. Apperson with another incident, this time in Sunset Bend. Pretty close fight here as we kept an eye on Soucy trying to close in. Lap traffic in the way. There's Santiago recovering from one of his excursions off track. And he's going to let as many of these cars go as he possibly can. Flores, Ryan, Frazier, and Blowers all in that conversation. Santiago just trying to get out of the way. And that's not an easy place to do it. Hopefully not getting too often much flack for just being in a very awkward place. This is a battle for third place right now. Christina Ryan and Elias Flores have not raced together here at this racetrack. They've raced together before, obviously in Champ Car in the previous 2 races that Christina's done in HTL. but they've not raced here. And in those head-to-head matchups, Elias Flores has only beaten Christina once, and that was in Charlotte last month. And these two have shared the racetrack 43 times so far. This is 44. Christina Ryan looks to the inside of Flores, looking for an opportunity to get around. Flores goes to the middle of the racetrack. Christina Ryan, not afraid of that, goes to the inside, has the overlap, going towards Sunset Bend. Heavy on the brakes. The 21 to 99 for third place on the racetrack. Christina Ryan sweeps on through, and Elias Flores has no response for it. And the former ABN world champion is up into the third spot. And now Flores has to keep a mirror eye on Frazier and Blowers, who are going to contest each other as well. They're not teammates here. Friends, yes. Teammates, no. Here comes Frazier. Frazier looks outside turn 2. Nothing gives. See what can be done. A whole lot there. Flores goes a little bit wide. Frazier gets a little loose on the back straightaway, but Frazier powers through it and gets ahead of Elias Flores. And here comes Blowers to try to get through as well. So Frazier, Blowers runs wide and gives up that attack on Elias Flores, and now is under attack from Josh Susie. A lot of drivers driving with a little bit of anger in this stage. Sharp in 8th, Peach in 9th. Tucker Sawyer's broken into the top 10 in 10th, getting around Bryn Roberts, who made a mistake. Davis Muir Jr. on an island, sitting in 12th behind, but sits 7 seconds ahead of John Matthews in 13th. There's been a lead change while we were looking at that battle here, and it is Mark Kissenweather ahead of Eli Sasek. And we'll see if we can queue up the replay here. It did not pop up on our notification screen, which is why we didn't cover it initially. See if we can jump back and grab it here. This is the replay of that pass. This is in Sunset Bend. This is for the race lead. So we know what happened 4 minutes ago. Just based off of the fact that I clicked 4 minutes and it popped right over here to us. And Sasek tried to respond in turn 1. This is the battle again for the race lead. And couldn't get to him. So that was a little over 2.5 laps ago is when that took place. And Sasek has not let him go. Battles all over the place here. Christina Ryan under threat from Lily Frazier. These two battling for third. Frazier using a lot of slipstream, a lot of draft down the back straightaway towards Sunset Bend. Who's going to be late on the late break? About level between the two of them there. Another huge draft zone here going towards turn 1. If you can get it right. Where does Christina Ryan place that 21 car, and where does Frazier go? Do they peek to the inside? No. Both of them stay line astern into turn 1. Very bumpy turn 1. They both ride through it. Blowers in 5th, waiting for a mistake. Neither of them do make that mistake through turns 2 and 3. Sasek has gotten back ahead of Kissenweather as it looks like a mistake from the two. We've got two very important battles going on at the moment. And both of them on the podium at the moment as things sit. Battles all over the place here, actually. There's 7 different battles on the racetrack at the moment that we would argue all deserve attention. Frazier got around Christina Ryan, dove it in deep in Sunset Bend, goes wide on the exit. Christina Ryan gets back on through, and almost contact between the 91 and the 71 gives the 21 reprieve. Christina Ryan's back on through the third. 2 laps to go in stage 2. Kissenweather wants the race lead back. Sasek is thinking not only points, but a potential race win on the cards. He is winless so far this season. And he is not the fastest car in the Ascent stable. That'd be his teammate, Tucker Sawyer, who is now up in the 9th, gotten around Davis Mio Jr. and Hunter Peach. Keeping an eye on this fight. Battle for third is 7 seconds adrift. Kissenweather peeks to the inside, not close enough unless he wants to really go late on the brakes. He doesn't. Coming to the white flag in stage number 2. That is Meredith up the road a little bit, and Meredith's not going to be a factor in this fight between the two race leaders. 3 turn 1 they go. Kissenweather's got maybe 2 good opportunities left to try to make a pass. Tommy Reynolds had an issue. We'll look at that in a second once we get to the stage 2 break. And I think that's going to end Reynolds' day, and it does. On the back straightaway, Sasek tries the brake. The slipstream, Kissenweather was on him. Side by side into the braking zone. Kissenweather goes deep, goes very deep. Sasek goes back on through. Very smart play by Sasek. He'll win stage 2. Outstanding stuff. Eli Sasek wins stage 2. Kissenweather in second. And the yellow flag comes out. Christina Ryan holds on to third in the stage ahead of Frazier and Blowers. Flores, Susie, Sawyer, Roberts, and Peach, your top 10 at the end of the stage. Outstanding stuff here. We did have a retirement in the late stages here. Tommy Reynolds, who had pace. We'll see what happened here to him. This is into Sunset Bend. And what happens to the 29? Seems pretty innocuous. Oh, just guns it up big time. And floors it out of frustration and kills the car. And he gets it down pit lane before retiring. That's exactly what happened to Tommy Reynolds. Christina Ryan, third place for this upcoming set of pit stops. Mark Kissenweather in second. A really good battle between him and Eli Sasek. But Sasek is your top dog in this fight. And he will lead the field back to the pace car to start this caution in earnest. And with that, we'll step aside for 3 minutes for a Twitch ad break for those watching live. For those watching on YouTube on demand, it's just going to be no commentary and all visual here on the on-demand stream. Join us for a Twitch race if you want to see us live. But we're going to take 3 minutes to step away, enjoy the sights and sounds. If you are a subscriber to ABN Studios, enjoy not having ads and getting the full picture as well. Thank you so much. We'll come back in just 3 minutes. Welcome, everyone, back on the other side of the second stage break here at Sebring International Raceway. The Sebring 220 is in its third and final stanza. We've gone through the first two stages here, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Eli Sasek, Mark Kissenweather, Christina Ryan, and Tucker Sawyer, your top four for this restart. We're glad you're with us for what should be a very exciting final stanza. If stage 2 is anything to go off of, gonna be a wild time. Outside the top four, Bren Roberts, Hunter Peach, Davis Smith Jr., John Matthews, Shad Swatsworth, and Patrick Overstat, all jumping ahead. A lot of pit stops taking place there. Byron Jones dropped out of the top 10 early on. He's in 13th. He had to take some repair works to get everything in place there. But the lights on the pace car are out, which means we go green at the end of this lap and go to the end of this race. Reminder that we are good to go until the end of the stage. There should be a pit stop here in stage number 3. Will there be? We'll find out. And again, a reminder, more races coming up, 2 more in the regular season, Bristol and Daytona, to round out the regular season here in the HTL Cup Series. We hope you join us for both those races the following 2 Mondays. It's time to get down to business. This is where all the points are on offer. Sasek and Kissenweather, green flag in the air. Away we go. Sasek leads through turn 1. You saw the bedlam and trouble. Car spun around. I believe was Jason Scott, the 74. And trouble. Sasek spun around. And everyone trying to find a way around. Another car spun. That's Oberstadt, Stephen Oberstadt. Excuse me. Cody Pinnell got spun around as well. Trouble immediately. And it's Eli Sasek that's the first one around in an absolute melee. And we're going to take a look at the replay here at what happened to Eli Sasek. He's already around at this point. We'll have to back it up a little bit. Does he get hit by Kissenweather is the big question. We'll have to slow it down here because it happens super fast in turn 2. Car already in the dirt, further behind on the approach. Looks like that's Wygant, and Sasek, I don't know if he just gets wide or if Kissenweather helps him. Obviously, nothing Christina Ryan can do, nothing Bren Roberts can do. Davis Smith Jr. is stuck. Shad Swatsworth is on the wrong lane. And everyone just tries to find their way on through. In a pretty disastrous way. So taking a look here. This is Kissenweather trying to make a move and no contact. Kissenweather does not make contact with the 9. That's as clear as day there from that angle. And Sasek now carrying damage from all of those drivers trying to get around him. He is down in the 17th position in a very rough way. Mark Kissenweather at the front of the field, but here comes Tucker Sawyer, fastest man on the racetrack so far tonight, trying to chase down last season's Rookie of the Year. To the S's they go, and it's just those two with not a lot of bother behind. Christina Ryan in 3rd has managed to hold on to that position. And then it's melee further back. John Matthews in 4th. Hunter Peach in 5th. Bren Roberts, Davis Smith Jr., Lily Sharp. Blake Henderson's made it back into the top 10. And then Shad Swatsworth gatekeeping that top 10 from Patrick Oberstadt and Elias Flores. Gary Thompson's had an issue. and not sure where Thompson is going other than using the full course layout here out of our camera range down in 22nd. Not sure what's going on here. John Matthews, though, has had an issue, and that is in Sunset Bend. Was behind Christina Ryan in the 4th spot, and now has to wait for the field of cars to roll on through. What happened to John Matthews? This is what happened to John Matthews, now down in 18th place. Trying to chase down the 21. Does he wheel hop it? 100% he does. And then loops it, trying to correct it. Doesn't hit the wall, thankfully. But now he has a lot of work to do and not a lot of time. Down in 18th, that is one of the CBR cars behind. That is Steven Oberstadt behind him now in 19th. Oberstadt's done a good job staying on the lead lap all race so far. Now further back, here we go. This is Byron Jones taking on Ross Baxter into Sunset Bend. Side by side, a little bit of a wheel hop there by Baxter, throws him wide. And he'll lose not 1 but 2 spots. There comes Josh Susi, and here comes potentially Eli Sasek. Yep, 3 spots in one corner. Close battle here. Brady Smith trying to make his way around. This is not for position. Brady Smith several laps down. Battle at the front of the field still very intense between Kissenweather and Sawyer. Knowing that there's nothing bothering them at the moment, they are going to go pretty well all out here. They have left Christina Ryan in the dust, 6 seconds the tune between the front 2 and 3rd place. But likewise, Christina Ryan has no competition right now. Bryn Roberts a further 1.5 back from the 21. Bailey Thompson is crab walking down the back straightaway, and I think that car is completely done. What happened to Bailey Thompson? This is something that's already happened. Not sure what happened to Bailey Thompson here. Trying to get a good look at it. Still crab walking. This is a part of the racetrack that Thompson didn't need to be on. I think Thompson took this way around to try to get back to pit lane. This might be the source of it. This is with Pereira. Pereira behind, but Pereira had nothing to do with it. Thompson just way too hot in turn 1 and kills the right side of that car. So Pereira watched it unfold. And watched it unfold without any interaction. And you see Thompson, I think Thompson at this point decides to go and take the full layout as a result. But that will end Thompson's race. And likewise will throw Thompson out of the top 16 in points. And that's important. Meanwhile, while we were trying to figure out what happened to the 27, Tucker Sawyer has made his way around Mark Kissenweather. But it's not by much. Kissenweather peeks to the inside into Sunset Bend, a little deep on the brakes. Makes it through safely, though. And the cat and mouse game continues. On to the front straightaway. Right on board here with the number 2 as he tries to keep up with the 97, who has been the fastest man on the racetrack. Sawyer goes wide, gives him a chance. And goes wide again. And here goes Kissenweather back to the front of the field. He gets it. Good battle there. Christina Ryan's given up time to Bren Roberts. That is now a battle once again. 4 cars in it, separated by less than a second. But the front of the field continues to be a tight fight. Sawyer making 2 mistakes back-to-back corners to give Kissenweather the lead. Racing the tires off these cars down the front straightaway. And these two have been untouchable for most of the race. Sasek was there, obviously, battled with Kissenweather in stage 2 and won out that battle, and then made a mistake at the start of stage 3. Roberts has had an issue. And that issue is that he's got 2 cars all over him, Smeal and Frazier, as they try to battle to catch up to the 21. Bren Roberts still battling with Smeal. And they are all over each other. Smeal gets through, so will Frazier. And Bren Roberts just got mugged of 4th place. Down to 6th he goes. And now Smeal and Frazier will try to catch up to Christina Ryan to take over that 3rd and final podium place. Smeal runs a little wide, gives Frazier an opening. And they somehow kept it off each other and kept it in the right direction. Here comes Roberts again. Bren Roberts looking at it. Looking for opportunity. Trying to get back one of those places. They're side by side into turn 2 again. Smeal takes a healthy helping of curb and stays in the 4th spot. Frazier in 5th. Roberts still in 6th. And then there's a healthy 4-second gap back to Hunter Peach, Chad Swathworth, Elias Flores, and Byron Jones in the top 10 at the moment. Pereira's had issues, 4 in 2 laps. Trying to make it back to pit lane. There's Santiago letting the leaders go on through. Trying to be courteous while he can. Two of the better drivers in the Cup Series when it comes to road course racing are going at it. Juggernauts here at Sebring. The haymakers and uppercuts all night long at the front. Race leaders don't last too awful long. Tucker Sawyer led all of stage number 1, got a speeding penalty during the stage break. Had to go to the back of the field. Josh Soucy spun from the race lead, got a little bit of help from Eli Sasek. Eli Sasek spun from the race lead with no assistance and got buried for it, down in 12th. Soucy in 11th, neither of them recovered. Mark Kissenweather's been a constant, and Tucker Sawyer trying to reclaim his throne here in Sebring. Christina Ryan has made a slight mistake and has given up 3rd place and 4th place to Smeal and to Frazier. And again, Bren Roberts also in that conversation. 4 cars, line astern. In a pretty hot fight. Here comes Bren Roberts inside turn 1. And Christina Ryan's not going to fight too awful hard here. It's all about just grabbing the results. Christina Ryan not battling for a lot of points. Just filling in for Alfred Denny in the 21 car. doing a good job of it at the moment. 6th place. With a healthy margin back to Hunter Peach. Byron Jones battling with Elias Flores. That is for 9th place. Another battle going on at the moment. And Tucker Sawyer's made an incident. There's been trouble for Tucker Sawyer. No damage on the 97 car, but here's what happened to the 97 car. And this is through the S's, coming towards the back straightaway. Overzealous on the curb and throws it out into the grass. And now he's got to be on a mad sprint to try to get back to Kissenweather. But for the first time in a while, Kissenweather has reprieve from pressure for a moment. Gets around Josh Arnold without any issue. Bern Roberts in the midst of this dogfight. Davis Moon Jr. has gotten away. Bren Roberts was trying to get around Frazier. Didn't work out. Christina Ryan watching it all through the windscreen. And if they're not careful in this fight, it will allow the likes of Peach and Swatsworth to jump back into the conversation. And that's what Davis Mills trying to avoid. He's trying to walk away from this fight. Sawyer's already shaved off half a second. With less than 20 laps to go, coming to 18 to go. Sasek and Josh Susi, these two made a run in stage 2, the start of stage 2. And are now once again on top of each other, outside the top 10. Flores in 10th, Byron Jones in 9th. Not far away. It's a train of cars that once they catch up to Frazier and company is going to be a bit of a train. Christina Ryan not having quite the pace as those in front of her. Is watching Smeal, Frazier, and Bren Roberts walk away. Christina Ryan's first HTL Cup Series race was a road course. It was back in Le Mans, Season 4. Christina Ryan finished 6th in that race. That's where she's at right now. Flowers has had an issue. He has had a very terrible stage 3. He is now down in 20th place. And you see a bit more of the Hornet's nest. Some lap cars mixed in. Santiago trying to let cars go by the 90. And we'll eventually be able to get everyone through. That is Swatsworth, who is in a battle for position there with Byron Jones. Gave up a spot to Hunter Peach. But everyone fighting here in Sebring. And they're all going to be down the back straightaway here. Kissenweather, Sawyer, Sharp, Smeal, Roberts, Ryan, Peach, Swatsworth, Jones, Flores, Susi, Sasek, your top 12, all in contention for something. And whoa, trouble! Frazier just went wide. Smeal made a mistake in the S's. And Frazier gave it right back up. So Smeal back to 4th, Roberts to 5th, Frazier in 5th. And Christina Ryan too far away to do anything about it as these three step over each other. Gap is still pretty steady right now between Kissenweather and Sawyer. Roberts forced onto the grass just a little bit by Frazier. 2 through turn 2. Doesn't typically work that well. As we've seen so many times tonight, it did there. They are trying to fight Davis Booth Jr., and they are cannibalizing each other trying to do it. Really good run from Smeal out of the S's. Frazier a little bit ambitious. Just trying to get on the power. Lap car in the way. That is Arnold, the 12. And they're going to catch him a lot closer into turn 1 unless he moves over and lets them on by. And it doesn't look like he's got any intention to not to. He lets all of them go through. Frazier right there on top of David Smeal Jr. These two battled in Kentucky a week ago. And we're in this order. Smeal finished on the podium. Frazier did not. Frazier ended up 6th at Kentucky. Smeal trying to stay ahead, but Frazier really good out of the S's that time. Will have a really good run down to Sunset Bend. Grab as much draft as you can and be as bold and brave on the brakes as you can. Here comes Frazier. Not quite close enough, but makes it work anyway. Smeal did not want to get crossed up on that. Frazier to 3rd. Frazier is a little wide there in turn 2, though. Now it's a question of who can keep up with the 71 for that 3rd spot. Hunter Peach got around Christina Ryan. Not a lot of contest there in that fight between the 20 and the 21. Lily Sharp, you saw the 19 car behind the 21, not on the lead lap. Lily Sharp is in 23rd, 2 laps down. Sorry, a lap down. No, I am correct. 2 laps down for Lily Sharp. 19 cars on the lead lap. Steven Oberstadt in pit lane, though. John Matthews also came down pit lane, so pit stops for some are required. 13 to go. Kissenweather has given up a lot of time. Gap's less than 2 seconds now between himself and Tucker Sawyer. If he was going to try to save fuel, this would have been the time. Spotsworth down pit lane. So several drivers have made the concession that they are not good to the end of the race. Seconds the gap at the front of the field. And Eli Sasek has had a wreck that's ended his day. He's already back on pit lane, so let's take a look at it here. This is Sasek trying to get around. That was Swatsworth that they were trying to work around. And what happens here? Oh, over ambitious from Byron Jones, and Sasek unsighted and couldn't move. That's why Swatsworth came down pit lane. Sasek's day is over. Mark Kissenweather leads the way, though. His Sasek's teammate, Tucker Sawyer, in 2nd. Do either of these two need to come down pit lane? And is there anyone in this field that does not need to currently come down the pit lane? Susie in the top 10, battling with Elias Flores for 8th. Byron Jones, who we saw that contact with Sasek, still top 10 in 10th. But I would assume if he needs to come down pit lane, he will have a lengthy stop when he does so. Susie reeling in. Gets to the outside of Flores, who's not going to give him any favors here. Susie has to power his way around the outside and does so. It does clip the 99 of Flores. Susie got loose on the exit of turn 1. Powered into each other there. Susie gives Flores the position back, but how much damage did they get? Susie was trying to power through the outside lane, almost had it, snapped late on the exit. And the two Toyotas collide while trying to make inroads in the top 10. And that was Susie's front end to the right rear of Elias Flores. And typically that ends somebody's day. Both of them still rolling. Close battle up in third is extended a little bit. Sharp has pulled about 3 seconds over David Smeal Jr. Bryn Roberts just got around. That was the lap car, Patrick Oberstadt, that spun around. And he has pulled himself off the racing surface, waiting for traffic to go on through so he can rejoin the race. So Frazier sitting in the third spot at the moment and has waltzed away from the 54 and the 83 in this conversation. Hunter Peach and Bryn Roberts about to do battle here, the 20 and the 83. As they roll around Sunset Bend again, less than 10 laps to go, coming to 8 to go. Is where the leader will be next time by. The leader's already crossed our finish line, already through turns 2 and 3 as well. Tucker Sawyer, less than 2 seconds of drift. No cars in between them at the moment. On board with Sawyer, who's had a pretty impressive best lap time. 107.2 is the fastest in this field. Kissenweather now has a car between him and Sawyer, but it's a teammate. It's the Joe Sure Racing 74 of Jason Scott, who is not going to hold up his teammate. A tenth faster that time for Sawyer, on board with Kissenweather, whose best lap is a full half a second slower and was a full tenth slower that last time around. Dealing with lap traffic, and a fair amount of it. That is the 81 of Matthews. Christina Ryan's had a hiccup. Still in 7th place, but has lost 5 seconds to Peach. Right on board with Tucker Sawyer, who is trying to close in on Mark Kissenweather. Louis Frazier sits in third, but 20 seconds away from the leader. These two have been relentless in this race. And the question remains, do they have to make a pit stop? Sawyer, overambitious, had to get completely out of the throttle. Trying to drive a little bit too heavy. And this is a track where it punishes you severely. It's not as severe as Chicago, just because there's more room to try to recover from a mistake. A lot of lap traffic here. That is Arnold and company. John Matthews in between the front two in this field. He's the car right in front of Sawyer as we're right on board with him. Battle further back. This is for the 4th spot. Well and truly away from Frazier. Still a close battle here. Sawyer's closed in less than a second and a half. Some good battles going on here. There's 4 of them in this field right now that all need attention. And we'll try to work our way through it. Josh Soucy still working on Elias Flores. This has been 6 laps in the making. They made contact once, right here. And Flores held on. Battle further back. This is on the lead lap. Henderson and Spotsworth, 13th and 14th right now, is the battle here. This is the 4th and final battle of urgent attention. And it is Henderson ahead of Spotsworth. Spotsworth's not had a great race. Neither has Henderson, but they've held on to survive with top 15s at the moment. And who knows what the final 5 laps of this race hold. Spotsworth is a little bit quicker than Henderson, but Henderson's got the track position, so Spotsworth needs to time it up. This is now a 3-car fight on 2 different stages. Christina Ryan has fallen into the grasp of Flores and Soucy, 7th, 8th, and 9th in this conversation. And Henderson has given up the ghost at the end of the S's, drops 13th and will drop 14th to Matthews. And we'll go a lap down, too. That was a car with a puff of smoke. I think that was Sharp. It was not Sharp. I was wrong. Not sure that was that had an issue. It was not your race leaders. Guessing whether running as wide as he can. Sawyer doing the same thing. 4 laps to go for the race leaders. Have they saved enough fuel? Is the question. They were on the very edge of it when we went green in stage 3. Several drivers have not been able to. They had to come down pit lane already. What about the rest of the lead lap cars? 13 of them on the lead lap. What about those that are immediately off the lead lap? Henderson, Matthews, Baxter, Oberstadt. Oberstadt's already pit, so that's not an issue. And I believe so is John Matthews, if I'm looking. Yes, John Matthews came down pit lane on lap 57. So Matthews in 14th is fine. Now here in the edge of the top 5. Peach once in the top 5. Bren Roberts currently has it. There's Sharp, the 19 for NFG Motorsports, trying to help out her teammate, the 20. Seeing if she can help out her teammate at all. It is a draft train, though, down the back straightaway. See who is the latest of the late breakers. Here comes Hunter Beach. Really late on the brakes. Too late on the brakes. And is avoided by everybody. Christina Ryan gets around him. And here comes Flores. Here comes Soucy. Flores really deep on the brakes. It did not work out. But no contact, no damage, other than the ego. Peach down the 9th with 3 laps to go. And it's a close fight here. Flores ran wide in 1. Soucy gets ahead finally with 3 laps to go. Now to chase down the 21 of Christina Ryan and the 83 of Bren Roberts in 5th. This feels like one of those races where if you think you know the answer, you don't. Front 2 have crossed our finish line. 2 laps to go. And it seems like both the 97 and the 2 are able to make it to the end, as would the 71. So it seems like those that were able to save enough fuel early are not bothered by the fuel window at this moment. We'll see how it pans out as they have one more attempt to come down pit lane for a splash and dash. Kissenweather has a boatload of traffic in front of him, but it will help him here on the straightaway because that is pace. That is slipstream, that is pace. And that is something that the 97 of Sawyer will not have. Really sharp down pit lane. Hunter Peach has had an issue, another one. In ninth place, he's dropped down another spot, and that's in turn 2. Out of the final corner, coming across for the white flag lap. 1 lap to go, presented by Southern Cleaning Company. And it is a second gap in change. And lap traffic all over the place. And that will not help Sawyer. Swatsworth, no care in the world about Sawyer. His teammates leading this race. And that is the final pawn piece that needed to be moved for the 2 car to try to grab another race win this season. Down the back straight with the final time for the race leaders. White flag is in the air. Checkered flag is ready. For Mark Kissenweather to grab his second win of the season. After battling just about everybody to get to this point, out of the final corner for the final time, Mark Kissenweather is going to grab another checkered flag. He wins the first HTL race at Sebring. Tucker Sawyer finishes second. Willie Frazier will have to come around to finish third, and there's still battles going on at the moment. Down the back straightaway. Susie trying to defend from Flores. Too far away from Christina Ryan. Flores peeks to the inside. Is he going to be late on the brakes? He's later than Susie, not late enough. Susie will survive for a top 5. I say that, not acknowledging that Susie is in 6th. He will not be top 5. He will be 6th place here ahead of Flores, but they battled across the line all the way through. Smeal out of fuel. Mark Kissenweather, though, will get to celebrate. Getting pushed by Josh Arnold, his teammate. Chad Swatsworth also there, his teammate. Trying to get to the front straightaway so we can do some burnouts here. He's still got fuel in that number 2 car. There's Josh Arnold, the 12. And Mark Kissenweather will grab his second race win this season. A triumphant victory for car number 2. He will burn it down here in Sebring. A great race we had on display tonight. We'll talk to our podium finishers here in a moment as everyone makes their way back to pit lane. But an outstanding race here. Just a little over the hour-and-a-half mark. Right on the number. Let's walk through the race here at Sebring. Mark Kissenweather, Tucker Sawyer, Lily Frazier. They were all top 4 at the start and had wild journeys in this race to end up where they were. Davis Mio Jr. misses out on a second straight podium, finishes 4th ahead of Christina Ryan. Josh Susie, Elias Flores, Byron Jones, Hunter Peach, and Pacey Wygant make up your top 10. Bren Roberts and Chad Swatsworth 11th and 12th. Swatsworth going a lap down there right at the very end. 11 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race. John Matthews ahead of Blake Henderson. Both of those were stepping over each other at the end of the race. Matthews ends up in the advantage over Henderson. Cody Pennell in 15th ahead of Ross Baxter. Stephen Oberstadt, Patrick Oberstadt, the brothers there, 17th and 18th. Zach Meredith not able to back up his win at Kentucky with a competitive race here at Sebring, but he called that a week ago when we talked to him in Victory Lane there. He's looking at Bristol and Daytona coming up here over the next 2 weeks. Jason Scott finishes 20th ahead of Brady Smith. Lily Sharp, Zach Apperson, and Josh Arnold run out your top 24. All of them at the finish. Bobby Blowers did not take the checkered flag here. Neither did Olivia Pereira. All these cars, technical retirements at the end of this race. Eli Sasek, 27th. Angel Santiago, 28th. Bailey Thompson, 29th. Tommy Reynolds, Richard Odie, Chelsea Carter, and Callie Height rounding out the field of 33 that started here at HTL's first ever visit to Sebring International Raceway. We'll get the podium interviews set up and ready to go here as we get ready to conclude festivities here in Sebring. Stay tuned. More to come after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sebring International Raceway. The dust is settling. We do have post-race interviews to go over here. And if I'm not mistaken, we're only going to be able to talk to two drivers. Actually, we might be able to talk to all three. Looks like Lee Frazier up for an interview for the first time on ABN Broadcasting. Fantastic. We're going to make sure the soundboard is muted because we are going to hear all of that if it does play. But we'll go ahead and start with our third place finisher in this late race, Lily Frazier, fourth place in qualifying after a great return in Kentucky a week ago, backing it up with a podium here at Sebring. Walk us through it, because that was, again, electric, but it's been an electric couple weeks.
Yeah, wasn't expecting to qualify anywhere near the front, but luckily, with help from Ascent, we had a good setup and good practice, but was still too nervous to start up there, so started from the pit lane, but luckily kept it clean and just consistent while others had problems, and worked out in the end pretty well.
Obviously, jumping in here, Outlaw Esports, grabbing two charters. Before Kentucky, you jumped in with John Matthews. As the veteran driver between the two of you in HTL, obviously have raced in HTL before, raced in trucks, raced in the Cup Series previously as a more of a substitute driver. Coming back in, two phenomenal races, top 10 last week in Kentucky, a phenomenal race there. And obviously backing that up here, a lot of conversation about sort of what to expect from this group as playing spoilers. What was the motivation in coming back, and how's the feeling been since being back?
The main motivation coming back, honestly, was just that, Bobby got these charters to run for Outlaws and, was looking for a driver. And, it was tough at first when I started here, but, when I left off with a podium my last race here before I came back. So, I felt like, I've just gotten better since then. And, I would have a shot to really do something.
And obviously it shows here. You got, again, a sixth place at Kentucky a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously a third place here, back on the podium again. Has the feeling been that this is that you're in a better spot to contend not only for more podiums like what we're seeing tonight, but to try to grab that elusive first victory for Outlaws?
I'm not quite sure outside of Daytona if this season I can get the first victory. Most of these tracks aren't my strong ones, but I mean, there's always a chance at Fontana if it drives good. But I've never driven open setup leagues before, so it's an adjustment as well. But if I can keep on top of things, I think it's possible that I can get a bit lucky and win one of these races.
Well, for not racing open setups before, you have done a fantastic job. Average finish of a top 5 or better so far since coming back here. Again, 2 top 10s in a row, a podium here at Sebring with Bristol coming up and then Daytona to end out the regular season. Not playoff eligible, but able to play a pretty major spoiler in how the season goes through things. Before we let you go and let you obviously debrief and celebrate your first podium since your return in HTL, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort. And again, a couple weeks of fantastic racing with the 71 team.
Yeah. First, I would just like to say thank you to everyone at ABN and HTL for continuing to put on this league and make it better and better with each week. I'd like to thank Bobby for giving me the chance to race, John Matthews for being a great teammate, and everyone at Ascent for being willing to help us with setups and just practice coming into these races.
Is working out to a brilliant applause at this point. Lily Frazier back on the podium here in Sebring, third place after finishing top 10 at Kentucky a week ago. A phenomenal return continues for the 71 crew. Lily, congratulations, and hopefully we get to talk to you again before the year ends.
Yeah, hopefully.
Absolutely. Fantastic job. Thank you. Again, Lily Frazier, and you heard Lily Frazier saying not familiar with open setups, has not been a hindrance. A lot of drivers saying that over the last month and change so far. Lily Frazier, just the most recent of the bunch. We will move on to second place, another what if sort of event for Tucker Sawyer. What could have been? Pole position, dominated stage 1, and then it fell apart in stage 2, and it was an uphill climb from there. Tucker, walk us through it.
Yeah, I pretty much had my planned out. And it was working perfect until I pitted. I had all of stage 1. I won the stage by like 8 seconds or something. I don't remember. And then I come into pit and I sped by like 3 miles an hour. So I get a penalty and then I have to go all the way back to like very back. I don't know what position it was.
You were 25th, but behind lap cars. Yeah, we kept track of it for you.
Yeah, that was not fun. I thought I was going to die for a couple of times. And then once I got up to people like that were kind of similar to my pace, I just couldn't pass them. Every time I attempt to make a move, I'd either make a mistake or it would just not be on. So I just stayed behind and then got some decent stage points and then was about to then into stage 2 we pitted and I was gonna come in 1 degree just to top up like half the team did, and I didn't, which it worked out, but I kind of wish I would have topped up because then I could have just full pushed and probably won. But oh well, we move on and learn.
Obviously, for you, safely in the top 12 in points, that has not been a factor for the 97 camp this season. You've been consistent all season long on the ovals and on the road courses here. Despite not having a race win, not a super significant issue, though. That being said, 2 wild card races to end out the regular season, Bristol and Daytona. Bristol did not go so hot for you last time you were there, and Daytona is Daytona. You either are there or you're not. Open setup's going to change a lot of things as well. That being said, how are you feeling getting into the open setup FEMA things? How does the approach to Bristol and Daytona feel different, knowing that, one, you're already comfortably in the top 12, but also that it is more in your team's hands here than what it has been before?
First part of the question, I'm not too confident with Bristol. I mean, I've only driven it for HTL. I don't ever drive it. So I don't really know what to expect, but if I can get a solid top 15 or top 10, I'll be happy. And as far as open setups go, I'm pretty confident. I have a good team with Eli, Bobby, Elias, Pacey, and all of them. They're pretty good with setups. So we're pretty confident with the open setups. And Daytona, I think it's just pure luck with the last couple of laps there. If I win, I win. If I don't, I just gotta hope that a new winner doesn't win.
Right now, things looking pretty good for the 97 camp. 7th in points and will be helped out pretty significantly here. I think jumping up to 6th as things stand tonight in the points order. With 2 races to go in the regular season, a phenomenal job, pole position, dominated stage 1, and a great recovery to get back to the podium here at the end in Sebring. Before I let you go and let you obviously debrief with your team and get ready for Bristol, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Eli and Bobby for putting this setup together. It worked pretty good. Shout out to Lily, Elias, Pacey. I have a whole list. I gotta find them. Olivia, Brady, Jason, a lot of people on our team. But yeah, shout out to them for being awesome teammates, and shout out my mom and dad for watching and cheering for me even when I don't win. And shout out to everybody in ABN Studios for putting on this awesome broadcast, and shout out to Blake Henderson for doing HTL.
Outstanding job for Tucker Sawyer. P2 tonight, still looking for that first win this season. Bristol coming up, and then Daytona looking safe in the playoffs. Means that Watkins Glen is going to be in the cards going into the new year. Tucker, congratulations, and hopefully we get to talk to you again before we get to New Year's.
Yep, thank you.
That was Tucker Sawyer, our second place finisher here tonight. We'll see if we can jump into the conversation with Mark Kissen, whether you're a race winner for the second time this season, if I'm not mistaken. Here at Sebring, obviously phenomenal on road courses. We saw it last season. We've seen it this season. Mark, walk us through it, because you had to dogfight somebody the entire race, and this time it worked out for
Oh
you.
yeah. Yeah, the first 2 stages it was really just me trying to get stage points and just surviving. Didn't want to mess up or anything because I tend to overdrive, like at Chicago when I passed somebody and immediately slammed into the wall head on. So I just really wanted to just get to the last stage and just see what happens. And it worked out with Eli having a mistake on the first lap of the third stage and just hanging on, holding off Tucker and saving fuel and all that.
Obviously, this has been a season of ups and downs, more ups than downs so far compared to how last season ended for you. Obviously, taking over the points lead once again. It's been between you and Bryn Roberts and Patrick Oberstadt all season long. Grabbing the points lead back here, Bristol coming up. It's going to be a lot of an interesting conversation. Open setups has been the rule of the conversation the last month and change. We're beginning to see that play out. Walk us through it on your end, because this car's been quick. This is the first time we've seen it be able to withstand bad luck. Let's just say it's been all around you. It wasn't affecting you tonight. Walk us through sort of the open setups and how you feel going into the playoffs, because you're in the playoffs regardless. Know what happens for the next 2 weeks. Has the open setups helped the number 2 camp at all?
I have a love-hate relationship with these because last season with the setups that we had, I loved it. I thought they were great. But then this season, like, we're sitting here tinkering in the practice session for the whole entire hour and a half that we have, like just making it how I want it to drive and stuff. And then sometimes it's obviously helped Zach and helped my other teammates a little bit. But for me, it's a love-hate relationship. I like it, but I also hate it at the same time because other people are better, and then like I do something, I don't like practice enough on it and run enough laps to know what it's going to do on a long run, on a short run, or whatever. So a road course that I actually practiced for definitely helped me on this. So maybe I'll put a little bit more time into the open setup stuff.
And obviously, with the time and experience will come data to make things easier down the road. I think that is the general consensus going into this. A fun race, though, all the way through tonight. Bristol and Daytona coming up. We know the team's good at Daytona as far as plate racing goes. And then obviously Bristol is sort of a see what you get when you get there sort of environment there in Thunder Valley. That being said, you are the second driver behind Patrick Oberstadt to win on both fixed and oval and open setups. this season, so pretty rare company there for both of you. Before we let you go and let you celebrate and obviously get ready for Thunder Valley in 7 days, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. A phenomenal race. We had to see a lot of the battling up front tonight, and it was spectacular on the 2 side.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Coulter's Cards, JonesPND.com, Militia Racing Club, Go Time Cards, and just my whole team and stuff for helping out on the setup. Last minute, we made a couple changes, and it helped a lot.
And it worked out in a phenomenal fashion here for the 2-car. Again, phenomenal job. Another race win, helping out as far as the playoff points go. With 2 races to go in the regular season, the 2-car effectively locked into the playoffs beginning after New Year's. Mark, congratulations on your 2nd race win. Hopefully more to come here as we get into more of the bread and butter tracks on the calendar. But again, enjoy it, and hopefully talk to you again before we get to New Year's.
All right. Thank you so much.
Phenomenal job for Mark Kissenweather, your race winner here tonight. And we will go over the results one more time. Mark Kissenweather, your race winner from 3rd place on the grid. Tucker Sawyer and Lily Frazier on the podium. Frazier qualified 4th, started from pit lane. We saw that in the replays earlier on. David Smew Jr., Christina Ryan, top 5 tonight. Josh Susi up to 6th after having to recover to get to that point. Elias Flores 7th. Byron Jones surviving an onslaught to finish 8th. Hunter Peach, Pacey Wygent round out your top 10 ahead of Bryn Roberts and Shad Swatsworth. Final page of finishers in this list: John Matthews, Blake Henderson, Cody Pinnell, Ross Baxter, Stephen Oberstadt, Patrick Oberstadt, Zach Meredith, and Jason Scott round out your top 20. The last finishers: Brady Smith, Billy Sharp, Zach Apperson, and Josh Arnold. Your full list of retirements on your screen: Bobby Blowers, Olivia Pereira, Eli Sasek, Angel Santiago, Bailey Thompson, Tommy Reynolds, Richard Odie III, Chelsea Carter, and Callie Height, all retiring from this race at various stages. Disappointing for them as they try to move forward to Thunder Valley next Monday. The schedule, bottom left of your screen, it is Bristol and Daytona, as we talked about during the interviews. And then we are off for Christmas and New Year's. And we get back into racing January 5th at Darlington and January 12th at Watkins Glen to kick off the round of 16 in the playoffs. We appreciate you spending your Monday night with us here on ABN. Enjoy the rest of Monday Night Football on ESPN or whatever you want to do here this Monday evening. On behalf of everyone here for HTL, the Cup Series, Henderson Graphics, Southern Cleaning Company, all of its partners, and everyone here at ABN Studios, I'm Carmen Sienna. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you in Thunder Valley in 7 days.